if you're a small business owner, a service provider, anyone who serves clients and customers, and you're feeling a tinge of burnout, of overwhelm, resentment, maybe your profits are stagnating, or worse, you're even thinking about throwing in the towel, stick around. Today's talk is just for you because I think I can help you to pinpoint exactly where things are breaking down and how to repair them. Your situation isn't hopeless, but I think it might be boundary-less. So, let's go. If boundaries are new to you and you don't really know where to begin, then I would recommend going back to my earlier videos in this series of Boundaries as Power Moves, where I talk about the fundamentals of boundary building, and especially this awareness activation gap, that messy space in between where you know you need a boundary, it's been brought to your attention, but now what do I do?
And that segues perfectly into today's video content, where we're going to get into what do you do, specifically when we talk about boundaries in business. And we're going to look at issues that show up in 5 key categories. One is time, and that's honoring your designated work hours, your session times, and your availability. 2 is the scope. Sticking to what was agreed upon in your offer or your contract. 3 is your energy, and that's protecting yourself from emotional overextension or draining interactions with customers and clients. 4 is money. That's getting paid on time and respecting your rates and your policies. And 5 is access. And that's respecting how and when clients can reach you. Now, these boundaries are essential for your business to grow without costing you your health or your self-respect or your profits. And while all of these 5 boundary types matter, every single one of them relies on just 2 core skills to actually work. One is communicating your boundary clearly, and that's setting expectations up front with confidence and with clarity. And 2 is holding the boundary when it's tested, and that's standing firm when you encounter pressure or guilt or the discomfort of setting boundaries starts to kick in. But whether we're talking about time, money, access, scope, or energy, if you can't communicate the boundary or you crumble when it's challenged, then it's not going to hold. And that's why in this video, we're focusing largely on 2 what I would call bold business skills when it comes to boundaries. And that is communicating your boundaries and then holding them or enforcing them with confidence and clarity. Master these 2 and you're going to shift from burnout to bold, confident leadership.
Yeah, we're talking about business boundaries, but we're also seeing that the lack of boundaries in business affect our personal life. So the 2 are kind of enmeshed because you're a whole you, right? So we're looking at this holistic picture of boundaries. But I'm focusing on 2 areas in particular today because I really feel like this is the most challenging part, particularly for good girls. So I'm coming in with this assumption that you already intellectually know what boundaries you need to put into place. And what you're struggling with is really communicating them and holding them, then this video is for you. So I'm going to lay out this scenario and I want you to tell me whether or not this resonates with you, okay? You started your business with purpose and passion. Check. You probably didn't even have a full business plan, much less plan to manage your time and energy. Check. You probably weren't even thinking about limits. The sky's the limit, right? You want to impact lives, you want to make a difference, and hey, you want to earn some good money along the way. So you dive in head first, you're really excited about this idea of helping others. Maybe you're turning your pain into purpose and bringing something meaningful into the world. But as time went on, you started to feel the pinch of the demands of being the CEO of your business and wearing all the hats, crafting your offers, pricing them, marketing them, client calls, networking, learning new tech, trying to stay visible and to keep it all together. You started feeling like you were on call 24/7, worried that if you don't respond immediately that you're going to lose momentum, or even worse, you're going to lose business. You start becoming more reactive and saying yes to every client, even if they drain you, just so that you could keep the business going. You keep plateauing at the same rates because you're afraid to raise them and have people see you as greedy. These are the very patterns that lead to burnout. And that, my friend, is likely the real source of your struggle in your business. Communicating our boundaries is really where a lot of us good girls get stuck. Well, we want to be the good girl. We want to be the nice girl. We think if we're putting boundaries out there that we're cold and we're mean and we're uncaring and we're indifferent. And this is because we want to protect this image of being the good girl. And that goes back to wherever this conditioning came from, right? We talk about that in other talks about good girl conditioning. But when it comes to business, you need to have that nailed. Because if you don't understand where this is coming from, and you have real difficulty in adopting this mindset of boundaries are healthy, boundaries are an act of love, they're not cold, they're not uncaring, then you got to go to the basics. Let's look at some real life examples. One of the things I find is fairly common is how we message back and forth with our clients or customers, what boundaries we set on that. And in this day and age, we have so many different ways that we can communicate. We can do it, the old-fashioned way was either in writing or by phone call, and then we added email, and now we have texts, there's voicemail, there's Facebook Messenger, there's so many different ways that you kind of have to put a limit around the ways that you will communicate with your clients and customers so that you can separate your business from your personal life. So the first step is really setting these business hours and making it clear when it is that you'll respond to messages. Oftentimes when we're solopreneurs working for ourselves, we see our whole life as opportunity to work. Whether you have kids or you have grandkids or you have a day job and you're doing this on the side, you likely take advantage of whatever free time you have to say, hey, what's the big deal? I'll just pop an email. I was in a networking meeting recently and this lovely gentleman was being cornered on work-life balance because it was obvious after his talk that he had a very demanding job in the banking industry. And he was asked how he balances work and life. And he shared some insights into what I know his outlook is on the balance of work and personal life. When he said, well, he's on vacation, he's sitting at the pool, he's not doing anything but sitting there, so why not go ahead and just reply to an email? And it's important for you to have this separation in your mind and in your life about what is business and what is personal life, because it's for your own well-being as well. So it's healthy for the clients, it's healthy for you. So set up work hours and then communicate that. This can be in your proposals, it can be in your contracts. This is when you will communicate. And if you hear from someone outside of that time frame, make it clear how long it will be until you reply. So things like I reply to messages within 24 working business hours, 48 hours, whatever that is. But decide on how you'll communicate, if it will be via email, if it will be via text. Messenger should be off limits, so we shouldn't even talk about that. But make sure you communicate those clearly. And we'll talk about calls when you have a client call or a customer call. and your expectations of what happens when you have that call. I, for example, have in my online calendar a policy in there that says that if you sign up for a call, then you will be on time for the call, and that if you do not show up, you do not notify me within X amount of time, that you can't make the call, that you'll be late, that you will be charged, or we'll have to reschedule our call. So set up those boundaries, think of them in advance if they don't exist, and then if a client breaks those boundaries, we'll get into part 2 of like, now how do you hold them? But make sure you're clear about your expectations for calls. Another area in communicating your boundaries would be in accepting payments. So if you work on monthly invoicing, if you bill on the spot, you need to be clear about when you expect payment. So what are the terms? In my business, before someone books a call with me, they are paying in full. If we have coaching work to do, they are paying in full before we even begin. Now, if it is a high-end program and we'll be working together for more than 60 days, then I'll offer a payment plan so that the large expense doesn't have to be incurred in one payment. You can, and I'll give you a discount if you pay in full. But if you need to spread out those payments, then this is when it's due. And I'm very clear that we won't continue work until the payment is done. So it's important to communicate how you will get paid. Before I go on into this section, I just wanted to share this, as it just came from my heart, that if you have been guilty of not holding your boundaries, I don't want you to feel shame about this. I want you to see it as a blessing in that you have been tested. And the way that we find areas that need strengthening and lifting up is when we are tested, when we suffer, when we feel pain. The real pain would be if that you don't learn from your suffering and you just continue to do this over and over, even though you are draining profits, time, energy, and peace. Because that's really the price that we're paying when we don't hold our boundaries. Now, what are the reasons why we don't doing this? I mean, just start checklisting for yourself. I don't want to be seen as a bad guy. I want people to think that I care. I want to be seen as a servant leader. And so that's why I'm just going to keep giving. I don't want to lose money. And I really need my money right now. I need every single client. So there's this scarcity mindset. And this is your call to really get clear on the reasons why you're having trouble holding your boundaries. But the real question to go forward is, what is it costing you in time, energy, peace, and profits when you can't hold your boundaries? Because when you aren't able to hold your boundaries, here's what you're really teaching other people. Your policies are flexible, but if you're pushy and you're loud, I'm willing to bend. You don't really fully respect your own needs. That your business and all of your policies are open to negotiation, but the truth is that you know better. So let's go through some examples of what it's going to look like when you start holding your boundaries. Let's say you're in a client meeting, you're in a discovery call, and you set a specific time limit for how long that was going to take, and the time has come to an end and your client is still sitting here talking. So what do you do? Well, first off, you should set the stage at the beginning of the session and let the client know that you respect their time. See, I sometimes find that it's easier to turn the tables, and instead of saying, my time is valuable, which can make you feel selfish, can sound selfish, you're going to turn it around and you go, I really value your time, and that is why I'm going to make sure that we end on time. So I'm going to set my timer, and when the meeting is done, we're going to quickly wrap up, and then you can be on your way. You know, how does that sound? Doesn't it sound friendly and supportive? Sometimes it's just the way that you communicate that can make all the difference. How about a client that is pushing for after-hours support? How do you deal with that? You've already set your time limits. This is my personal time. You've already communicated that with the client, but now the client is asking for you to make some space available after hours because they work during the day and they have more time in the evening or on the weekend. Hey, thanks for reaching out. I'll be back online during business hours and I will get back to you promptly at that time. That sends the message that the client knows that you function during business hours. So the likelihood of them asking for that again is probably less. They may be pushy, they may try to do it again, but you've made it clear in the way that you communicate that this is the time frame during which I do business. So you asked for payment in full, client did not pay in full, and now you need to hold that boundary. Well, per our agreement, our services are paused until full payment is made. Let me know when you've completed the invoice, and we'll pick up right where we left off. That's it. No over-explaining, no shaming, no guilt, nothing like that. Your responses are calm, they're clear, they're direct, and everyone knows where they stand. You're not being rude, you're just being real. You've got a business to run. You've got a life to live, as does your client. So wrapping this up with a mindset shift, there's a lot of it is going to start up here, is that holding your boundaries, it's not mean, it's not rude, it doesn't mean people are going to flee, it doesn't mean you're going to lose business. In fact, the right clients are going to respect the container. So what I want you to keep front and center is that you don't need every client. Not every client is good for you, not aligned with you. You want the ones that are going to respect you, that will be easy to work with, that are going to respect your boundaries, because those that don't never will. They're going to drain your energy, your value, your time, your peace, your profits. I guarantee you it's going to happen because they were never going to respect them. But it was up to you to recognize that. But now you know better. And with that, you could feel more empowered to move forward with your boundaries. So I want you to go away with 3 questions right now to ask yourself the next time you feel this urge to bend your boundary. Now that you've learned the value of having a boundary, asserting it, and holding it, pause and ask yourself this: what is the cost of saying yes here? Am I choosing peace or people pleasing? And what would the CEO version of me decide? Harness that inner bold girl. Channel your thoughts. Ground yourself in the reality that boundaries are not walls. They're guardians of harmony. They protect your energy, your mission, your momentum, your peace, and your profits. And learn to love them as much as you love what it is that you do.
Thanks for watching. Be sure to check the links in the description for tools and resources to support you wherever you are, so you can show up as the boldest version of yourself today.